Welcome to the Transportation Sales Tax Program, also known as RoadWise. I'm Cheryl Harleston. Today we're going to be talking with 1st Congressional District Representative Jim Rozier, and he is with the South Carolina Department of Transportation. He's going to talk with us about a meeting that was held here recently with a number of leaders in this community as it has to do with roads and road improvement and a variety of subjects. But in addition to that, we want to talk with him about the condition of our roads and bridges. Most of us know that we have a lot to be concerned about in that area, and I'll try to ask him all the questions I can, and I'm sure he'll try to give us the answers. Welcome, Commissioners. Nice having you here with us today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You were in a meeting not too long ago at the Council of Governments office, or the Charleston Area Transportation Study Group.
It's for short, they call it CHATS.
CHATS.
Right.
And what was that about?
Well, it's the urban areas of Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester counties, the populated areas. This group manages the roads, keeps up with what's going on the roads, gets reports from the Department of Transportation. For instance, we had a whole list of projects that the Department of Transportation just upgraded the leaders of the community on. Some of the funding comes through this group. A lot of decisions on what roads are going to be developed, what roads are going to be built, what roads are going to be maintained, bridges, and so forth, comes through this group of local leaders.
The roads that need attention and the bridges that need attention, not just in South Carolina, but across the nation. But we have our share of problems.
Certainly.
Does it worry you that we're getting behind, or it's hard to catch up with all of the needs?
Well, frankly, we're not catching up. We're managing the demise of the roads. I mean, there's no way to keep up with the problems that the roads in this state, or pretty much in other states too, but this state particularly, because we have the same gas tax, 16.7 cents a gallon, that we've had since the mid-'80s.
Why?
Well, the General Assembly has to make that decision, the senators and House members in Columbia and the governor, and they hadn't seen fit to raise that.
Did we see these conditions coming?
Oh, sure. And we've been in the Department of Transportation long before I became involved. I've been on the commission for 1 year, and I represent the 1st Congressional District, Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester, and Beaufort counties. Not all of Berkeley and Charleston, but the majority of it. But way before I came on here, we knew we had a problem. In the state of South Carolina, while we have low gas tax, we have either the 3rd or 4th lowest gas tax, the 3rd or 4th largest number of roads per capita. In the early years, the rural counties of South Carolina managed these, ran the state, okay? And they built all these farm to market roads, all these rural roads, and now we have to take care of them.
You know, I worry about the youngsters who are coming up, and they're going to be adults, and they're going to be paying for some of this, if not all of it.
No question.
But I'm wondering, is there a way to catch up? Should we just raise the gasoline tax, or should we have more programs like the Transportation Sales Tax Program, where the public pays for their own roads, even the roads that belong to the state? I mean, what's the answer here?
I don't know the answer,
Okay.
but it can't be one answer. It has to be a multitude of things that come together to make this work. Local option sales tax is certainly one of them. Raising the gas tax would be another one of them. Maybe not spending so much money on things we shouldn't be spending money on in this country, in this state, and get rid of some of those things and put the money into things that really serve the people, like the roads. Roads are the #1 service that government provides. #1 service in the state, #1 service in this country. Roads are the #1 service that government provides. I'm not talking about military. Now,
Sure.
put the military to the side. I'm talking about general services, okay? Believe it or not, the #2 service is libraries, but #1 service is roads. So we need to be spending more money on our roads. We need to be managing it better and spending more money on our roads.
I hear talk that the South Carolina General Assembly, I don't know if it's the Senate or the House or which one, but there has been some discussion here lately.
There has been, and they've come up with some money this year. I think $50 million a year for the next 10 years, I believe it is.
Now, what's that going to do?
That money was, we've discussed a number of projects that we prioritized at DOT, and that money is going to be used for those priority projects across the state. Well, at least that's what DOT commissioners are recommending it be used for. Major projects that serve major numbers of people. not going to be spent on farm to market roads, for instance. It's going to be spent on roads where you have the bulk of your traffic.
And farm to market are rural roads.
Rural roads. Well, if they're rural
Are
roads,
they?
they're within counties that are not so rural, but they're mainly rural roads. Getting farmers to market was what the purpose of the roads were in those days. Problem is now you got to maintain them.
Did somebody wake up one morning and say, our roads are in really bad condition, or was it the federal government that says roads are in very bad condition? I mean, where did it finally come from, and who decided we better do something about this?
Well,
Was it just county by county, like Charleston County and the
Well, I think
transportation
we've
sales
said
tax?
for years we need to do something with our roads. Roads are handled very differently in different parts of the country.
Yes.
If you go to some of your Midwest states and Southwest states, you find towns with many, many dirt roads in the towns. Small towns like Monks Corner, St. Stephen, Hanahan, those kind of things, you find them with lots of dirt roads. We have lots of paved roads and lots of problems with taking care of those paved roads.
What is the charge or the responsibility, or what's the reason that the transportation program chats? What's the reason for it to be in existence?
So to keep your local representatives very involved and have their input and report back to them on what's being done by the state. And also to manage some projects. They manage a number of projects through the chats group.
Do we lobby to get our share or to bring more money into this area?
Oh, yeah,
Or who's making sure that the money that is there, even though it's not that much, who's making sure that it gets to your areas, for an example, the areas that you represent?
Well, there again, it's a multitude of things. You've got your local option sales tax working on some roads. You've got chats managing some roads. You've got the state managing roads. Everybody tries to coordinate together, and that's part of what chats does. You had 5 or 6 members from DOT in there making reports to chats. So chats tries to corral it all together and make it work. You have other agencies doing the same thing with other parts of the state.
And that makes a lot of sense, and hopefully we'll see a lot of improvements and changes. But when we come back from the break, I'd like to talk with you about bridges.
Okay.
A little concerned about the bridges, and
They
we
should
have
be.
lots
They should
of
be
bridges
concerned
in
about
South Carolina and in your district, sir.
Sure.
And I'm wondering how are we going to take care of these, and will federal money be necessary? We'll talk about that in just a moment.
Hey, Charleston County, let's recycle. Charleston County makes it easy. Recycling glass, aluminum cans, steel and aerosol cans, plastics 1 to 7. We recycle them all. And don't forget paper. If it tears, recycle it. Even cardboard. Recycle at work, at home, and at play. So whether you're using the 2 curbside bin system and separating or the all-in-one roll cart system, keep recycling. Brought to you by Charleston County Environmental Management.
Welcome back to the Transportation Sales Tax Program, also known as RoadWise. I'm Cheryl Harleston, and I'm talking with our commissioner from this area, Berkeley, Dorchester, Charleston, and that is the 1st Congressional District, and his name is Jim Rozier. And it's been a pleasure talking with you, sir. He's straightforward. He tells us exactly what's on his mind, and he's been following all of this, even though it's his first. Is this your first year?
I'm in my 2nd year.
He's in his 2nd year now, and he's been appointed by.
Well, I was appointed by the Senate and House members of this congressional district of Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester, and Beaufort County.
And what is your job exactly? What do you do?
We set policy for the Department of Transportation, and we approve projects. We approve the budget and so forth for the Department of Transportation.
Is the Department of Transportation a department under the governor now?
It is.
And that's only recent. I believe I understand that to be recent.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but does that work with having direct contact with the leaders, like the governor and the lieutenant governor and the General Assembly and that kind of thing? Does that help a lot? So are they listening to the commissioners who are coming back and reporting from their areas?
Yeah, I think they're listening to us. I mean, money's tight everywhere. Money's tight with everybody. But they certainly are listening to us. And in fact, they just approved a major amount of money for us. I think $50 million a year extra for the next 10 years. And we're bonding that, and we'll work on some very large, very needed projects in the state with that.
Why are we having so many bridges, and I mean that, so many bridges that are in trouble? I think the note that Jamie gave me was 12.3% are considered structurally deficient.
Deficient, yeah. Well, we have over 8,000 bridges in South Carolina. And some of them are very old, they're very tired, they're worn out. And we are maintaining them as best we can, but some of these bridges need to be replaced badly. And there's not enough money to do all that. We have several bridges now that are closed that you just simply can't use, and you will see more of them being closed, which means people will take longer detours to get home or get to work and get to school and so forth. But you've seen bridges, not in South Carolina, knock on wood, but across this country that have been collapsing. Bridges are concerned nationwide, and they are particularly concerned in South Carolina.
What do you want the public to know about all this? What do you want to encourage us to do?
Well,
Is there anything we can do?
First of all, what I want them to know is that we're doing the best we can with the money that's available to manage the roads and the bridges in South Carolina. We are paying attention to the most needy projects, paying attention to the most dangerous bridges first, and trying to manage from that point. We're not willy-nilly spending money and throwing money away. We really are trying to manage the projects to the best of our ability. I would like for people to encourage the General Assembly to raise the gas tax in South Carolina. I mean, we like I said earlier, I think we're 16.7 cents a gallon. We hadn't raised that since the mid-1980s.
And some other cities are 30% and on up.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the question. Do you want safe bridges? Do you want safe roads? Do you want your family to be safe when they travel across these bridges? If you do, are you willing to spend enough money to make them safe? And the people need to make that decision and encourage their representatives to do what they want them to do. Now, if they're happy with the way the roads are and the bridges are, then tell their General Assembly to leave it the way it is. But if they're not, then they need to encourage them.
Well, it sounds to me like at this point in our history, the legislature has decided that there are other priorities, much higher priorities.
Well, I think that everybody's concerned about raising taxes, and I understand that. I was a public official for 16 years, and it's difficult to raise taxes. I understand that. If the people don't want them raised and want the roads to stay the way they are, then encourage them not to raise them.
How do you feel about a program like Charleston's, the Transportation Sales Tax Program, where Charleston is taking care of its own roads and then helping out the state as well?
Well,
is that a good idea?
From a state standpoint, as a state representative, we're delighted that they're spending money on the state roads. They're certainly helping their people in their area. There are other counties in the state that are not doing that. Okay, so that's the decision of the local folks if they want to spend their money on state roads and on their own local roads.
But it shouldn't be like that, though.
Well,
or should it?
In my opinion, it probably should not be. It probably should be the state taking care of their own and the local taking care of their own. But in the absence of the state being able or willing to do that, then the locals get involved in making their area safer. I certainly don't have a problem with that.
When Charleston took this on, the sales tax program.
And Berkeley took it on.
And Berkeley did. Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah.
They sure did. And everybody's getting, I think it's half a penny, and in Berkeley it's a penny.
I think so.
Yeah. And so that is going to carry us for a certain period of time.
Right.
I think Charleston County is saying 25 years or until we raise a certain amount of money. It's in the billions, I think. Yeah. And so what happens after that, I don't know. Plus, I probably won't be around.
Right, and nor will I.
So we can't really worry about that. But
we can worry about that. We have to worry about it. We have to worry about the future generations. And I think in this country today, we're not spending enough time being concerned about the future generations. We are mortgaging them pretty high, okay? And I think we're going to leave some roads in much worse condition for those folks than we should.
Well, now that brings me to the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some talk by the federal government that perhaps they ought to be responsible for the roads and bridges in this country, including, of course, our roads and bridges. And they go back to the Roosevelt era, the WPE or something like that, where the government created jobs simply by building the infrastructure. They killed two birds with one stone. How does that feel?
Well, I think the private sector can take care of the problems if we have the money to take care of the problems, okay? And the private sector can provide the jobs. I'm not a big one for government to be providing the jobs. I think we provide the money for the roads and so forth. Private sector can do the work and provide the jobs. That's my opinion. But the roads in this country, the federal government spends an awful lot of money on our roads. It's not like they don't provide money. They do provide money to us. And we provide matching funds from the state to encourage more money from the feds. And that's what Charleston, Berkeley, and so forth are doing with local option sales tax. They are providing some funds to encourage more money from the state. The state's providing some funds to encourage more money from the feds. So matching funds really does help.
You've seen toll roads when you've gone up north.
Yep.
And I think somewhere in Greenville they tried that.
They tried a road from nowhere to nowhere, I think, in Greenville.
And I don't know if anybody's using
well,
it.
I don't know either.
But how's that feel? Is that something we should be doing?
If I had the total authority, I'd have a toll gate where 95 starts on both ends. I'd have a toll gate where 85 starts on both ends, and 26 too. I mean, we run through the area and we pay. Why not let them run through our area and pay and help, provide some of the roads, provide some of the money for the roads. There's other areas that could be told also that a lot of folks run through the state and don't even buy a gallon of gasoline going through, So
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. I think tolls is a good idea.
Do you? There's another thing, HAVAC, the high vacancy
For
riders,
the route,
and you get a different road, and I'm sure I got that all wrong.
You get a different
but you
lane,
get different lane, but you can't have so many people riding in the car.
I just came back from Houston, Texas, and they have some of those, and that's a good idea. You got to have enough lanes to make that work, and I'm not sure we have enough lanes to make that work. But
is this kind of discussion going on right now with the meeting that you were in today? You have all of these local people who are in government and business, and all of those who are the decision makers for this community, and I'm wondering what comes out of those kinds of meetings.
I'll tell you one thing.
And are we looking creatively?
I think we are.
You and I are talking.
But I think we are. One of the things that we dealt with today and been dealing with for a while is coordinating our traffic system with computerizing our traffic system. I don't know exactly what to call it, but it has cameras that pays attention to how many cars are coming in each lane and adjust the lights to work, and that can move traffic a whole lot better. So we're working on all that, and I think you're going to see some results from that.
We've got a lot of people moving into our area.
Certainly do.
All the northerners are coming this way, even the southerners from Florida and that kind of
Well,
place.
they moved to Florida and they moved back up here. We call them halfbacks. There's so many of them coming back.
Well, they like this area.
Yeah, they do. I don't blame them. I do too.
And the population is growing. Mount Pleasant is one of those communities that seems to be growing tremendously, and the traffic is getting to be more and more and more, and it seems like there ought to be something done in addition to what it's already doing through the transportation sales tax program. But not just Mount Pleasant. There are other communities that are growing by leaps and bounds.
Frankly, Mount Pleasant's doing a pretty doggone good job with the things they've done to improve the traffic flow in Mount Pleasant and so forth, and to make it even look better while they improve the traffic flow. It's been very, very well done.
I'm glad to hear that because I live over there.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with the commissioner, and we want to finish up this program by talking about some of the ways that we can improve this problem. There's a lot of discussion, but I'm concerned about, and I would like to hear from him on where are we placing our most effort to take care of transportation and roads and bridges. We'll be right back.
Hey, Charleston County, let's recycle. Charleston County makes it easy. Recycling glass, aluminum cans, steel and aerosol cans, plastics 1 to 7. We recycle them all. And don't forget paper. If it tears, recycle it. Even cardboard. Recycle at work, at home, and at play. So whether you're using the 2 curbside bin system and separating, or the all-in-one roll cart system, keep recycling. Brought to you by Charleston County Environmental Management.
Welcome back to our program. That's the Transportation Sales Tax Program, also known as Roadwise. And it's been such a pleasure interviewing today our Congressional District Representative, 1st Congressional, and he is with the Department of Transportation. And he serves at the whim of the
General Assembly.
Of the General Assembly.
No, I don't serve at the whim of anybody. Once I'm appointed, I serve until I'm done.
Okay.
And that's 4 years, and then you're not reappointed. You have 4 years and it's done.
And you talk with the governor? I mean, who conducts your meetings?
Well,
and who hears from you, and who learns from this congressional district?
Well, we have a chairman of the commission that's elected by the commissioners. He conducts the meetings. The Secretary of Transportation, appointed by the governor, is in charge of the Department of Transportation, and the commission sets the direction of the DOT, Department of Transportation.
The Secretary of Transportation, how's that working out? That's new.
Oh yeah, he's appointed by the governor.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. He
he's
meets with all of you?
He's in our meetings with us, and he's not a member of the commission. He represents DOT and represents the governor in our meetings.
Right, and I imagine he's hearing the same tune coming out of most of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then
he would very much encourage more money to come to DOT so we can do more.
Should we have a statewide referendum?
You know, I'm not a fan of referendums to make decisions that our elected officials ought to be making. But if it would make it more comfortable for them to make that decision, maybe a referendum would not be a bad idea. Let the people decide whether they want to fix roads or keep fixing their cars. You know,
Well, that's a good point.
Fix roads or keep fixing their trucks.
Are we hearing people complain
Oh,
about their
absolutely.
cars
The
and
Trucking
trucks?
Association has been begging for the tax to be raised on gasoline so roads can be fixed and bridges can be fixed. How many times do you hit a bridge in South Carolina and in front of your car goes bloom, bloom, bloom going across, getting on that bridge and bloom, bloom, bloom coming off of it? That's a problem, and it's tearing up your vehicle.
But when that brings me to this question of inspections. Are these roads and bridges inspected?
They are inspected.
And the ones that are in bad shape, are they being
We try to
closed
concentrate.
down?
We actually concentrate on the ones that are in worse shape, the ones that are causing the most danger to the traveling public. So I think Department of Transportation is doing a pretty doggone good job of repairing what they can afford to repair, and repairing the ones that are in worse shape first. Okay, the ones that have most traffic on them first. But we have over 8,000 bridges, and in my district. And having Charleston and Beaufort in my district, I probably got more bridges than any other district in the state.
Probably.
And I'm sure I do. Bridges are a major concern. With over 8,000 bridges and 25% of them are deficient, you know, I mean, that's a concern.
Have any of these bridges been shut down lately?
Oh, we've shut down several bridges and shut down a few that have now been reopened. We've shut down some that remain shut down. Maybe they don't have enough traffic going over them, and people are detouring with that. But yes, we shut them down when they're unsafe. We do one of several things. One, we can shut them down. One is we can limit the load factor on them. You know, not allow certain loads on trucks and so forth on it. But you know, I have to tell you, you can put a sign up that says no trucks or nobody over such a weight, and people run across them anyhow.
They have to.
Well,
they got to go where they're going to go.
Maybe they ought not.
And
If I had too big a load, I don't think I'd go across, because bridges have been collapsing in this country.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
so.
Not only here in South Carolina either.
Yeah.
Out west, I remember a bridge just coming
we hadn't
straight
actually
down.
had any collapse here with people on it, but in some areas of the country, you certainly have.
And the question now is, where do we go from here? It feels like we're just standing still.
Well, we
got a 16-cent gasoline tax. We have a lot of people are doing having discussion. We've got a COG, we've got a CHATS, and especially CHATS, which is responsible for transportation and coming up with ways. We got a half-cent sales tax. Feds are talking about some money. The federal government. Where do we go from here?
Well, we're not standing still, because you just mentioned a whole lot of things that were not in place a few years ago. Okay, so we're not standing still. The General Assembly just approved a right nice size amount of money, $50 million a year extra for the Department of Transportation to go through the State Infrastructure Bank and to be determined what roads they go on. So things are happening. They're probably not happening as quickly as we'd like for them to happen, but things are happening to a degree. I'd like to see them happen quicker. I'd like to be able to do more to repair our roads and our bridges in the state, but some positive things are happening.
I-526, let me just hit you with that.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Well, we're going to widen it from 17 out to 17. You know, that's going to be widened. The money is available to do that. That project actually won't start until 2019. You've got to get all the permits. You've got to get all the wetlands permits. You've got to do design. You've got all kinds of stuff has to be done. So you won't see the widening start till 2019, but that is funded and is going to happen. Now, the extension of 526, That's sort of in Charleston County's hands right now. We are in the process with them of upgrading the intergovernmental agreement. We have an intergovernmental agreement where Charleston is going to sponsor the project, Charleston County. The State Department of Transportation is going to manage the construction of the project. Is the way it stands right now. They're updating that agreement. So once that agreement is updated, then that project is funded and that project should happen.
And so really looking into the design and all those other things,
Right, all that's
getting past all the NEPA requirements,
right,
et cetera.
all kind of requirements. all
Yeah,
kind
so
of,
that's going to be happening soon, or is it happening now?
well, I think you'll see it happen, but you still got to get all the permits and all. So I think you're several years from the actual extension of it.
In the meantime, people are coming from all over the country, all over the world to this wonderful place called Charleston, Dorchester, Berkeley County, Beaufort, because it's beautiful and they want to be here. They don't want to freeze up north and they get too much sun down in Florida.
Can't blame them. Can you?
No. So,
Can't blame them.
Can we say that these things that they're going to need in the way of bridges and highways and walkways and intersection improvements and all of those kinds of things that make for good roads, that they can believe that it's going to be happening, and it's happening now, and it will continue to happen?
I can tell them that we're going, and the Department of Transportation is going to spend the money as well as we can. We're going to fix as much as we can fix with the money that's available. We're going to do our dead level best to manage it properly. And I believe their roads will be safe, okay? I don't think they'll be smooth, but I think they'll be safe. Okay?
Without having a statewide tax.
It's going to be difficult, but I believe they'll be safe. I believe if they're not safe, we'll shut them down.
Yeah, and that's why those roads and bridges are inspected.
That's right.
Periodically.
And they're inspected on a regular basis. Exactly right. And the people that inspect them know, either the ones with the Department of Transportation or the contractors know what they're doing.
Right.
So I think they'll be safe.
And there's some innovative things happening now
There are some
too,
very innovative
in terms
things
of asphalt and the rest.
Yep,
We'll have to
yep.
talk with you about
Working
that
on,
when we
in
get.
fact, I'm working on a few projects for that right now
Are you?
myself. Yeah.
I'd like to get our hands on you and talk about that as well. You have
Anytime.
been a joy to talk with.
No, thank
sir,
you, ma'am.
and
I've
we
enjoyed
really
it. Thank
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Been talking with Jim Rozier, who is a commissioner with the 1st Congressional District for the South Carolina Department of Transportation, and he has certainly given us a lot of good information, and we'll have to ask him back sometime very soon. This has been the Transportation Sales Tax Program, also known as RoadWise. I'm Cheryl Harleston. For more information about the Charleston County Transportation Sales Tax Program and specific information on the road construction improvement projects, visit us on our web at roads.charlestoncounty.org. Also, connect with us on Facebook and Twitter at CC Roadwise.